Well, the Finance Minister, Nigel Dodds, is with me now. So he's not going to stand for it. Time to withdraw your remarks.
Well, I think, the sort of childish thing where he started it, so all that sort of stuff. Look, let's be realistic. You can't really win here, because if we had proceeded to make a statement today, we would have been accused of ramrodding something through the executive, not giving enough time. And, of course, when time was given, and quite rightly so, because I believe it is right, people should have proper time for consideration, which gives the lie to the idea that it's just a matter of agreeing everything and just putting it on the table and the Ulster SDLP don't have a say. Of course they have a say, and that's the reason why there's a delay. That's criticised. So, you can't win, really. You're criticised if you do, you're criticised if you don't. But that's the nature of politics. And what's sort of slightly surprising in all of this is the sort of, the reaction that has been evoked by really what I think was a sensible decision to allow people proper consideration and time on an important issue, which I am always willing to do. But I have to say that I do take sort of, with a pinch of salt, this protestation that this is all terribly outrageous, given the fact that back in December, the December monitoring round, which allocated £70 million, that paper was only on the table a couple of hours before the statement of the Assembly, and Reg agreed to that and was quite happy with that. Now,
but surely, if this is so pressing, we are in the midst of this financial crisis and everybody needs every penny they can get, presumably departments too, does this not need to be done fairly quickly?
Absolutely, and that is why it's important that the Executive considers this on Thursday, and that there's we proceed with the monitoring round and so on and so forth. And it is absolutely critical that we deal with these matters. But, I think if an issue is raised by a minister that papers that he wants more time, we have always taken the view that if a minister takes the view that they want something to be considered further, then that's what's done. Now, of course, what has to do, in terms of the contrast of what happened previously, Reg and David Trimble, when they were running the Executive, actually had to be taken to court by the DUP to get DUP papers and executive papers to DUP ministers, and they were found to be breaching the law and acting illegally in preventing the distribution of papers.
Up to meetings.
Whether we were turning up to me, we're still entitled to the papers. So we have Reg now complaining about the terrible situation when he was up to his ears in illegality in the last Executive, preventing ministers having access to papers. So I think we need to take a wee bit of pinch. There is a bit of politics being played here. We know that. But I think we will get there in terms of the substance.
But, Minister, isn't the bottom line that the other ministers should have these papers well in advance? And the reason they're not getting them is because the First and Deputy First Minister can't agree them.
No, not in this case. This wasn't an issue at all, because the Department of Finance and officials were working on these papers quite late in the day. So this didn't actually come to the First and Deputy First Minister. There was no hold up at that age. And
but it's
very
hardly
often
ideal.
I've already said that, and there's precedent for that. And we wanted. That's why it was put off, to allow people, if they want more time, to have that time.
But shouldn't you have told the Assembly, I didn't give the ministers enough time to consider it, instead of putting it onto the Ulster Union?
Because these matters are supposed to be confidential in terms of Executive business, and of course there's precedent for that, because this is exactly what happened in December, to which there was no complaint whatsoever.
Presumably patience is wearing thin.
So I think that... Sorry?
Presumably patience, the other ministers are becoming impatient.
Well, no, I think if you're a bit more realistic, I think it's just a bit of politics. I think the criticism will come whether you proceed with the statement or not. And I know that, and we're in the political game, and there'll always be criticism. I don't think what you would have done here would have prevented criticism being given quite.
What about the wider point being made there about the fact that special advisors, ministerial representatives don't meet on a regular basis now to help iron out potential problems before executive meetings?
I'm not against that, and that isn't my call at the end of the day, but I wouldn't be against that. And I do know that special advisors and ministerial aides and so on do meet on an informal basis, and there's a lot of interaction at ministerial level between ministers and so on and issues, and I've done that a lot with Reg and employment issues, and with Arlene Foster and economic issues and so on and so forth. So
there's not something you need to worry about now. You're looking forward to vacating the ministerial seat?
Obviously there's plenty to keep me occupied. It's just a pity that this sort of bit of politics today has overshadowed what I thought was a very important announcement that I made in terms of the plural plaques issue, and that's people suffering from asbestosis who are now going to, hopefully, I'm recommending that law should be overturned so people can make a claim. Now that's the sort of real business of politics in Northern Ireland, helping ordinary people with real problems.
Nigel Dodds, many thanks indeed.